What would you do if one careless comment threatened to expose the secrets you have worked a lifetime to bury? For Mark Brighton, a single moment of arrogance cracked open the perfect image he had spent decades building. And for Angela Carter, it became the spark to challenge a system built on silence. In the battle between truth and power, who will rise and who will fall? This is the story of a choice that could change everything. Before we dive into today's story, let us know in the comments where in the world are you watching this video from. We'd love to hear from you. LexCorp Industries, a name synonymous with success, innovation, and progress. From the moment you step into the glass-covered high-rise that houses its headquarters, you're greeted by an atmosphere of professionalism, efficiency, and ambition. The employees, dressed in sharp suits and confident smiles, glide through the halls like gears in a perfectly oiled machine. The walls echo with the sound of achievement, team meetings, creative brainstorms, and motivational pep talks from senior leaders. At the heart of this corporate giant is its CEO, Mark Brighton, a man who climbed the ranks with unmatched determination, transforming LexCorp from a small regional business into a global powerhouse. To his peers, Mark is a legend. To his employees, he's a symbol of what hard work can achieve. His face graces industry magazines, his speeches draw packed audiences, and his leadership is a textbook example in business schools. Under Mark's guidance, LexCorp has become a beacon of excellence, boasting record profits, groundbreaking innovations, and a workplace culture many describe as ideal. Diversity initiatives are in place, employee satisfaction surveys are glowing, and charitable contributions to various causes paint a picture of a company that's not only successful but also socially responsible. But, as they say, perfection is often an illusion. Beneath the glittering surface lies a truth that few could have imagined. In a company built on the promise of equal opportunity and mutual respect, cracks begin to appear. Among the hundreds of employees working tirelessly to maintain LexCorp's reputation is Angela Carter, a young, talented marketing strategist. Angela has always believed in the company's core values, respect, growth, and inclusivity, but lately she's begun to wonder if those values are truly upheld. Angela is no ordinary employee. Her innovative ideas have propelled marketing campaigns to new heights, earning the company millions in revenue and countless accolades. Her colleagues admire her, and her supervisors consistently praise her work. Yet, despite her contributions, Angela sometimes feels invisible, a sentiment she keeps buried deep within her, unwilling to disrupt the harmony of the workplace. And then there's Mark Brighton, the charismatic leader who seems untouchable. Angela has always looked up to him, inspired by his meteoric rise and his ability to command a room. She's even imagined herself following in his footsteps one day, but little did Angela, or anyone else, know Mark harbored secrets that would soon come to light in the most unexpected way. At LexCorp, appearances are everything. The pristine office spaces, the collaborative team culture, and the glowing quarterly reports all paint a picture of a company at its peak. But as every employee knows, a single spark can expose the cracks in even the most well-maintained facade. Angela had no idea that the day ahead would change everything, not just for her but for everyone at LexCorp. A routine meeting, a careless comment, and a decision to speak up would set off a chain reaction that no one could have predicted. And at the center of it all, Mark Brighton himself, the man whose image was about to shatter. LexCorp Industries may have seemed like the picture-perfect workplace, but appearances, as Angela was about to learn, can be deceiving. And so the stage is set. What happens when the truth finally comes to light? Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking events that brought a powerful CEO and a determined employee to a crossroads no one saw coming. The day started like any other at LexCorp. A quarterly strategy meeting was on the agenda, and as always, the boardroom was a hub of energy and anticipation. Angela Carter, one of the company's brightest stars, walked in armed with her latest marketing proposal, a plan that had the potential to revolutionize the company's digital outreach. Her ideas were bold, ambitious, and exactly what the company needed to stay ahead of its competitors. Angela had worked tirelessly on this proposal. She had stayed late, run countless simulations, and even consulted external experts to ensure her plan was flawless. Today, she was ready to present it to the executive team. She had every reason to believe this would be her moment, a chance to prove her worth to the very people who shaped the future of LexCorp. Angela told, and as you can see, this strategy not only increases engagement, but also significantly reduces costs by streamlining our ad targeting algorithms. I'm confident this approach will set us apart in the industry. Her voice was steady, her arguments well supported. The room was silent, with all eyes on Angela. For a moment, she felt the weight of the spotlight, but in a good way. This was what she had been waiting for. But then it happened, a single sentence that would change everything. Mark Brighton told Angela, "While I appreciate your enthusiasm, maybe you should focus on simpler tasks. This level of strategy might be a bit beyond your expertise." The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. The casual tone in which they were delivered only amplified their sting. Angela couldn't believe what she was hearing. This wasn't just a dismissal of her idea, it felt personal. For someone who had poured her heart and soul into this project, the comment was nothing short of devastating. She scanned the faces around the table, hoping someone would speak up, someone would challenge the CEO's remark. But the room remained silent. The discomfort was palpable, yet no one dared to address it. After all, who would question Mark Brighton, the man who seemed to hold the fate of their careers in his hands? In that moment, Angela faced a choice. She could shrink back, let the comment slide, and move on with the meeting, or she could stand her ground. The easy path would have been silence, but Angela had never been one to take the easy path. Angela told Mr. Brighton, with all due respect, "I've spent weeks refining this proposal. I believe it deserves a fair evaluation based on its merits, not assumptions about my capabilities." It was a bold move, one that left the room in stunned silence. Mark, caught off guard, raised an eyebrow but said nothing. For a fleeting moment, Angela thought she had made her point, that she had stood up for herself and her work, but Mark's next words would make it clear that the battle was far from over. Mark Brighton told, "Angela, let's move on. We'll circle back to your idea if time permits. We have more pressing matters to discuss." And just like that, the meeting moved on, leaving Angela's hard work discarded, her confidence shaken. But if Mark thought the matter was over, he was mistaken. Angela wasn't someone who would let an injustice slide, especially not one so blatant. She knew she had to address these, not just for herself, but for anyone who had ever been dismissed, belittled, or silenced. Angela told, "Dear Mr. Brighton, I found your comment in today's meeting deeply inappropriate. I would like to discuss this further to ensure mutual respect and understanding within our team." Angela's email wasn't just a message, it was a statement of resolve. She was determined to hold Mark accountable, even if it meant challenging the most powerful man in the company. But what Angela didn't know was that this was only the beginning. Her decision to speak up would set off a chain of events that would not only expose the true nature of Mark Brighton, but also uncover secrets that would shake LexCorp to its very core. An insult in the boardroom was just a spark. The real fire was yet to come. The meeting ended, but its effects lingered like a heavy cloud over the office. Angela Carter's work, her pride, and her confidence had been dismissed in front of her peers. Yet the real storm was only beginning to brew, not in the boardroom, but in the hallways, break rooms, and whispered conversations between employees. The incident hadn't gone unnoticed. LexCorp employees, trained to keep their heads down and focus on their tasks, couldn't ignore what they had witnessed. The whispers started almost immediately. Employee 1 told, "Did you hear what the CEO said to Angela?" That was brutal. Employee 2 told, "Yay, but what did she expect?" Going up against Mark Brighton like that, she should have known better. Employee 3 told, "Still, it wasn't right. She worked so hard on that proposal, Mark didn't even give her a chance." Angela felt the weight of their stares and the unspoken words that hung in the air. It wasn't just about what had happened, it was about what it represented. In an office that prided itself on equality and respect, her experience raised uncomfortable questions about who truly held the power and who was allowed to succeed. "Hey Angela, just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened earlier. Your presentation was amazing. You didn't deserve that." The message was kind, but it only deepened Angela's frustration. If her colleagues recognized the injustice, why didn't they say anything in the moment? Why didn't anyone speak up? As the hours passed, the whispers grew louder. The incident had become the subject of office gossip, with every employee forming their own opinion. Some defended Mark, saying he was just being practical. Others quietly supported Angela, admiring her courage to stand up to the CEO. But no one dared voice these thoughts openly. Even among the senior team, the tension was evident. Mark Brighton, known for his sharp instincts and commanding presence, seemed unfazed by the backlash brewing around him. To him, the incident was a trivial moment, barely worth a second thought. But the seeds of doubt had already been planted among his employees. Executive 1 told, "Did you see Angela's face? Mark really crossed the line this time." Executive 2 told, "He's been doing this for years, dismissing people he thinks aren't on his level. It was only a matter of time before someone called him out." The executives weren't the only ones reflecting on Mark's behavior. Angela, sitting at her desk late into the evening, replayed the moment over and over in her mind. Every word, every glance, every silence from her colleagues felt like a puzzle piece in a larger, more troubling picture. Angela told, "Why didn't anyone say anything? Is it because I'm new? Because I'm black? Or is it just the way things are here? If I let this slide, I'll be proving them right. But how do I fight this without losing everything I've worked for?" Angela's mind raced with questions, each one more unsettling than the last. She had always believed in LexCorp's mission, but now she was starting to wonder if the company's values were just words on a glossy brochure. And so Angela made a decision. She wouldn't let this moment define her or destroy her. She drafted an email, carefully choosing her words to convey her concerns without sounding confrontational. It wasn't easy. Every sentence felt like walking a tightrope. The email wasn't just a message, it was a stand. Angela knew it might not change anything, but it was a step toward holding Mark accountable. What she didn't know was that her actions would spark a ripple effect, leading to revelations that would shake LexCorp to its core. The whispers in the office weren't just about the incident anymore, they were about what it meant for the future of LexCorp. Would Angela's courage inspire others to speak out, or would it be silenced by the weight of corporate power? Angela's journey was far from over. As she hit send on that email, she unknowingly set off a chain of events that would bring hidden truths to light, truths that could either dismantle the illusion of perfection at LexCorp or bury her voice forever. Angela Carter knew what she had done the moment she hit send. Her email, though polite and professional, was a direct challenge to Mark Brighton, the CEO of LexCorp, a man who rarely, if ever, faced pushback from his employees. Now, as she sat at her desk, her heart raced every time her email notification chimed. Hours passed, and still there was no response. The silence was deafening, but Angela refused to back down. She knew her words had landed, and sooner or later, Mark would have to address them. Finally, as the sun dipped below the city skyline, her phone buzzed with a single-line reply. Angela's hands tightened around her phone. The meeting she had hoped for and dreaded was now inevitable. What would Mark say? Would he apologize, dismiss her concerns, or worse, retaliate? She didn't have answers, but she was determined to find out. Mark Brighton told Angela, "Come in." Behind the closed door, it was just the two of them. For the first time, Angela felt the weight of Mark's authority bearing down on her. But she also felt something else, resolve. She had come this far and she wasn't about to back down. Mark Brighton told Angela, "I read your email. I must say, I didn't expect this from you." Angela told, "With all due respect, Mr. Brighton, I felt I had no choice. Your comment during yesterday's meeting was not only dismissive, but also deeply inappropriate. I've worked hard to earn my place here, and I believe my ideas deserve to be evaluated fairly." Mark Brighton told Angela, "I wasn't trying to offend you. Perhaps you misunderstood the context of my remark. It was meant to steer the meeting in a more productive direction." Angela felt a flicker of frustration. Was this a deflection, an attempt to diminish her concerns without addressing them? Angela told, "I appreciate your clarification, but the impact of your words goes beyond intent. They undermined not just me, but the value of my work. If LexCorp truly stands for respect and inclusivity, then those principles should be reflected in every interaction, including yours." For the first time, Mark Brighton seemed to be at a loss for words. Angela's calm yet assertive demeanor had caught him off guard. He was a man used to commanding rooms and making decisions without question. Now he was being held accountable, and he knew it. Mark Brighton told Angela, "You're right. I should have handled the situation better. I value your contributions to this company, and I regret that my words suggested otherwise. That wasn't my intention." Was it genuine remorse or a calculated attempt to defuse the situation? Angela couldn't be certain, but she wasn't about to let her guard down. Angela told, "I appreciate your apology, Mr. Brighton. However, I believe it's important to address this openly, so others know that LexCorp is serious about fostering a respectful environment." Mark Brighton told, "You're suggesting we make this public?" Angela told, "I'm suggesting we set an example. Acknowledging mistakes and taking steps to improve shows strength, not weakness." Mark Brighton was a man who thrived on control, but in this moment he realized that true leadership sometimes meant letting go of it. The question was, would he rise to the occasion or retreat into his old ways? Mark Brighton told, "I'll think about it, Angela. For now, let's focus on moving forward. I'll personally review your proposal and schedule another meeting to discuss it in detail." Angela told, "Thank you, Mr. Brighton. I look forward to it." The confrontation had ended, but Angela knew this was only the beginning. Mark's apology was a step in the right direction, but actions would speak louder than words. And as whispers continued to circulate throughout LexCorp, Angela realized she wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for every voice that had ever been silenced. But even as the dust settled, a new storm was on the horizon. A mysterious visitor was about to arrive at LexCorp, bringing with them a truth that would change everything. The confrontation between Angela and Mark Brighton had sent ripples through the office, but the real storm was yet to come. While Angela returned to her desk with a renewed sense of purpose, a figure from Mark's past was on his way to LexCorp, a man who held the key to a secret that could shatter everything. Receptionist. "Good morning, sir. How can I help you?" Mysterious man told, "I'm here to see Mark Brighton. Tell him it's Victor Grayson." Victor Grayson wasn't just any visitor. He had once been a close confidant of Mark Brighton, a man who had known him long before he became the celebrated CEO of LexCorp. But their relationship was complicated, built on secrets that Mark had worked tirelessly to bury. Employee 1 told, "Who's that guy? He doesn't look like a client." Employee 2 told, I heard he's here to see Mark, must be someone important. Mark Brighton told Victor, I wasn't expecting you. Victor Grayson told, no, I imagine you weren't, but we need to talk. The folder contained the documents that Mark had hoped were long forgotten, records, letters, and photos that told a story he had kept hidden for decades. As he flipped through the pages, his face turned pale. Victor Grayson told, I warned you, Mark. You can't run from your past forever. Sooner or later, it catches up with you. Mark Brighton told, what do you want, Victor? Why bring this here now? Victor told, it's not about what I want, it's about what's right. You built this empire by raising the truth, but you owe it to yourself and to everyone who's put their trust in you to come clean. Victor's words cut deep, but Mark wasn't ready to admit defeat. His entire career, his entire identity, had been built on the image of a self-made man, a visionary leader. To reveal the truth now would risk everything he had worked for. Mark Brighton told, do you have any idea what this would do to me, to the company? Victor Grayson told, and do you have any idea what it's already done to you, Mark? Look at yourself. You've spent years pretending to be someone you're not, and now it's bleeding into the way you treat others, like Angela Carter, for instance. Mark Brighton told, what does Angela have to do with this? Victor Grayson told, everything. She's not just an employee, Mark. She's the kind of person you used to fight for, the kind of person your mother raised you to respect. Victor's words struck a nerve. Angela's confrontation had already forced Mark to confront his behavior, but now he was being forced to confront something much deeper, the truth about his own identity. Victor Grayson told, I'm not here to ruin you, Mark. I'm here to remind you of the man that you were before all this, before the power, the money, the image. The choice is yours. Face the truth or let it destroy you. Victor Grayson told, oh, and one more thing, Angela, she's a lot stronger than you give her credit for. Don't make the mistake of underestimating her again. As the door closed behind Victor, Mark Brighton was left alone with his thoughts and his secrets. Outside, the office hummed with activity, blissfully unaware of the cracks forming in the foundation of LexCorp's leadership. For Angela, the visitor was a mystery, but one she was determined to solve. Little did she know, the truth Victor Grayson had brought to LexCorp wasn't just about Mark Brighton, it was about her too. What was in the folder? And how would Mark's secret affect the future of LexCorp and Angela's role within it? The answers would come soon enough, but they wouldn't be easy to face. Victor Grayson's visit had left Mark Brighton shaken. The once confident CEO now sat alone, surrounded by the towering glass walls of his empire, but they felt more like a prison. In front of him lay the truth he had worked so hard to bury, a truth that, if revealed, could undo everything he had built. Mark Brighton wasn't born into wealth or privilege as his public image suggested. His childhood was far from the polished narrative he had crafted. In truth, he grew up in a small, struggling neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, a place where opportunities were scarce and every day was a fight for survival. His mother, Eleanor Brighton, was a single parent and a pillar of strength. She worked long hours as a housekeeper, often coming home exhausted but always finding time to instill in Mark the values of hard work, integrity, and respect for others. Eleanor Brighton told Mark, remember this, no matter where you come from, it's how you treat people that defines who you are. But life wasn't kind to the Brightons. When Eleanor fell ill, young Mark was forced to grow up quickly, taking odd jobs to make ends meet. Despite the hardships, he excelled in school, determined to escape the cycle of poverty that had trapped his family for generations. Mark's hard work paid off. He earned a scholarship to a prestigious university, where he reinvented himself. He adopted a polished demeanor, shed his working-class roots, and surrounded himself with people who embodied the success he so desperately craved. But in doing so, he made a decision that would haunt him for years. He cut ties with his past. Eleanor Brighton passed away before she could see her son rise to prominence. Mark attended her funeral but left the neighborhood shortly after, vowing never to return. To the world, he became the self-made CEO of LexCorp, a man who had pulled himself up by his bootstraps, but behind the scenes, he had erased the very roots that shaped him. Mark Brighton told I had to do it, I had to leave it all behind, but at what cost? Employee 1 told, "Did you hear? That visitor, Victor Grayson, used to know Mark back in the day." Employee 2 told, "Back in the day, like before LexCorp, what's the connection?" Employee 3 told, "No one knows for sure, but they looked like they had unfinished business." Angela's determination to understand the mysterious visitor led her to LexCorp's archives, where she began piecing together fragments of Mark's story. What she discovered painted a picture of a man who had fought against impossible odds to rise to the top, but who had also lost sight of the values that once defined him. Angela told Mark Brighton isn't who he pretends to be, but why go to such lengths to hide his past? Victor Grayson told, "It's time to make a choice, Mark. The truth won't stay buried forever." Victor's visit had forced Mark to confront the man he had become. His condescending comment to Angela during the meeting wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a reflection of the walls he had built around himself, walls that shut out the very people he once fought to stand alongside. Mark Brighton had once been a fighter, but somewhere along the way he had stopped fighting for others and started fighting only for himself. Angela was beginning to see the cracks in Mark's facade. She didn't yet know the full story, but she knew one thing for certain. The truth had a way of coming out, and when it did, it would change everything. Mark Brighton's double life was unraveling, and the choices he made next would determine not just his future, but the future of LexCorp itself. Mark Brighton had spent his entire career building an empire, but now he stood at a crossroads. The truth of his past, his humble beginnings, his struggles, and the decisions that shaped him was no longer something he could avoid. Victor Grayson's arrival had forced open a door Mark had long kept shut, and Angela Carter's courage had shown him just how far he had strayed from the values he once held dear. The whispers in the office had grown louder, and Mark knew the only way to silence them was to confront the truth head-on. But the question remained, would this moment mark his redemption or his downfall? Mark Brighton told, "Good morning, everyone. I've called this meeting to address some concerns that have come to my attention and to share something I should have shared a long time ago." For a man who had spent years hiding behind a carefully crafted image, this moment was a leap into the unknown. Mark wasn't just addressing his employees, he was addressing himself. Mark Brighton told, "I've always prided myself on being a leader, on creating a company that values integrity and inclusivity. But recently I've been forced to confront some hard truths about myself." Mark Brighton told, "This folder contains pieces of my past that I've hidden for years. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood, raised by a single mother who taught me the values of hard work and respect, but as I climbed the ladder of success, I made the mistake of believing that I had to leave that part of myself behind to succeed. In doing so, I lost sight of what truly matters." My comment to Angela during the meeting wasn't just inappropriate, it was a reflection of the arrogance I've allowed to take root. "Angela, I owe you an apology, and I owe this team my commitment to do better." "Angela, your courage to speak up reminded me of the values my mother instilled in me, the very values that built this company. Thank you for holding me accountable." Angela Carter told, "Thank you, Mr. Brighton. Accountability is the first step, but actions speak louder than words. If we want LexCorp to truly embody its values, it has to start with all of us." Angela's response was a reminder that change wasn't the responsibility of one person, it was a collective effort. And for the first time in years, LexCorp felt like a place where that change could begin. In that moment, Mark Brighton took his first step toward redemption. It wouldn't be easy, and it wouldn't erase the mistakes of the past, but it was a start, a chance to rebuild not just his image but his integrity. The turning point wasn't just about Mark, it was about Angela, the team, and the culture they were determined to create. LexCorp wasn't perfect, but with voices like Angela's leading the way, it was finally moving in the right direction. Redemption is never easy, but sometimes all it takes is a single act of courage to spark a change. For Mark Brighton and LexCorp, that act came from Angela Carter, a reminder that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth facing. What do you think about Mark's decision? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire and challenge us.